Can you see me? Is it working? YouTube. All right, great. Hooray! So sorry about that. Stream didn't work, the first one. So I'm glad that we got this back up going in a different stream. All right, so as you did not hear me say in the other stream, there's been a rumor going around for weeks that Henry Cavill had indeed returned for Black Adam. I'd had a couple of people tell me this, and I was like, it wasn't coming from reliable places that I felt confident enough to weigh in on it. But I did ask a couple of my sources to look into it. And this morning, one of my sources said they were 90% sure that Henry Cavill was back, and gave me a whole lot more tea that I'm excited to share with you on today's stream. So that's why I'm doing it as a live stream, because this is a developing story, and also I knew you'd have a lot of questions. So I thought, why not have this discussion in a way that you could ask me those questions? So there's a lot going on. Very interesting. Also, I owed you a live stream, so I'm very glad that I was able to do this on Friday. All right, so welcome everybody, welcome. So the way it'll work is that I'm going to tell you what I know, and then you can ask me any questions that you would like, and then of course, as always, I'll do some shout outs at the end. All right, so as I said, my sources are now 90% sure that Henry Cavill is going to show up in Black Adam. Briefly, it's like a cameo. Basically, they were already set up to do a headless Superman cameo at the very end of the movie. I mean, it's leaked what happens at the end of the movie, but I don't want to blatantly ruin it. I think that's not cool. But it's like a little bit of a tease. A little bit like how Batfleck is now going to be a little bit of a tease at the end of Aquaman 2. So you've got both these characters, and Wonder Woman, by the way, is showing up in Shazam 2. So that's very interesting to have the DC Trinity. Maybe that's one of the reasons that they were convinced to do this over at Warner Brothers. So you have the Trinity, even though the Trinity doesn't have any movies coming out in the foreseeable future, they're kind of like in the movies that are coming out. So don't expect a lot. It's a tease, okay? Now, Black Adam, the movie, really needed this. One of you tweeted in response to my tweets this morning that Dwayne Johnson probably heard those boos at Comic-Con and had a fire lit under him. Although there's not to say that he didn't. He might have had Henry Cavill in there even beforehand. I had heard that there was a chunk of the movie that did not screen. For people they screened Black Adam for the powers that be and people who were in attendance for Comic-Con. For that's very nice of you, Tanya, to gift 5 memberships. So there's nobody. I don't think anybody's seen the full movie as it currently is right now. But Dwayne Johnson, I think, knew that Black Adam and his own career really had a lot at stake here with getting this done. And then, of course, as I've been long saying, if anyone could get it done, it was Dwayne Johnson. Because Dany Garcia, his ex-wife and current business partner, is, of course, Henry Cavill's manager. And you can see they've done a liquor deal together already. So this is very big for Dwayne Johnson from a business perspective, not just for his own career, but for his company. Let me give a couple of shout outs. If you join during a live stream, I'll give you a shout out as soon as you join. Hey, Bianca, welcome back. Brandon, hey, how you doing? Corey, welcome back. Cooper, welcome back as well. I can tell if you're a new member or if you're rejoining because of your badge. And if I didn't get to say hi to you in the other stream because we had to restart, I apologize. So anyway, I think that The Rock, no matter what happens, just for getting this done alone, The Rock will be a legend. And I think that he needed to get this done. And if he did indeed, again, I'm 90% sure that he did. My sources are 90% sure. I think I think it's really going to, no matter what happens to the movie Black Adam, I think it's Dwayne Johnson needed this not to be haunted for the rest of his life. Now, everyone will always be like, you did what you could, Dwayne. And I think that will be really great for him. Now, why would Warner Brothers, so also I want to point out, so why would Warner Brothers Discovery do this? I think that, as I've been reporting to you, they're playing the short-term game, especially because now they're looking to unload Warner Brothers onto Universal. I think they just want to make money now. I think they just want, they just want, to goose up or juice up the movies that they have coming out. So they're like, okay, fine, put Ben Affleck in Aquaman 2. Put Henry Cavill in Black Adam, just as long as it looks like there's a lot of heat around our DC properties. Hey, welcome back, Matt. Because, again, we want to be in a position of strength to try and sell this thing. So, because, they're looking to make money off of it. So I think that it's unlikely that, that Warner Brothers Discovery would approve any future plans, like another movie after this, even though, it's the old comic book thing. Watch the movie that you have today in the hopes that you'll get an even bigger movie tomorrow. I mean, that happens all the time, and it's going to be what Black Adam is like. I'm not to say that, I have to say, I continue to be impressed with the action sequences in the trailers that we see. So, if you really want the Snyderverse to come back, or to stick around, I guess, you need to see Black Adam. And also, this will, I think, be a true test. With HBO Max, the numbers weren't public, so they never had to say anything. But now you'll see if having just like a couple of seconds of Henry Cavill in the movie, if that does indeed boost the box office for this film. Because, Dwayne Johnson wants to continue. He wants to do more. And so he can only do that if the movie is successful. So this will be, now it's going to become even more interesting to see how Black Adam performs at the box office. What would it have? I don't think it would have to make $1 billion, to be honest with you, if it could just match the Batman. If it could do I think 600 million would be low, but if it could do 700 to 800 million, and I think the odds are in its favor because, let's see. I do think Henry Cavill has a lot of fans. And I do think, people are going to be hungry for a blockbuster because there aren't any coming out beforehand. So it could do pretty well, but it's going to be crucial now. There's now even more riding on Black Adam than before. So what does so if they want to make more, the ball's probably going to go in Universal's court. So Madeline, it comes out October 21st. Although I hear it starts screening as early as October 7th, so expect a lot of spoilers then. Because I think October 7th is when people are going to know for sure what this movie looks like. So anyway, Universal would have to approve any future plans. And as I said, Dwayne Johnson wants to continue to make these movies. But I heard what he's pitching, and I think it's actually pretty darn good. If I were Universal, I would greenlight this. It's very similar to Jurassic World Dominion. I would greenlight this, and if I were, as a movie fan, I actually got to tell you, I'd want to see it. Dwayne Johnson understands spectacle. He, of course, comes from the world of wrestling. And I think it's funny that he said the hierarchy of power in DC is about to change. But I think that, behind the scenes, too, Dwayne Johnson is a businessman who runs a lot of franchises. And I'm going to tell you what he's pitching in just a minute, Cooper. And I think that there's a chance that Dwayne Johnson could take over the DCEU. Rhett says, I truly feel bad for Sasha Calle. I'd like to see her and Henry Cavill on screen together, but it seems like she would play Supergirl in The Flash only. Dwayne Johnson's a really sweet guy. I think that he would like Sasha Calle as well. He could they're having their own multiverse. So he could do whatever he wants. And I think, you go from really the Snyderverse to the Rockverse. I think there's a chance that Dwayne Johnson could take over DC. And he already is producing the Black Adam and Shazam movies. So that's pretty interesting to me. I actually think that, to take a page from wrestling and have Dwayne Johnson handle this is not a bad idea. All right, so what's he pitching? All right, so Dwayne Johnson is pitching, just like Black Adam is Black Adam versus the Justice Society, the JSA, Dwayne Johnson wants to fight the whole Justice League in a second movie. Not to do Man of Steel 2, not to do Justice League 2, or maybe it would be Justice League 2, but who they'd be fighting would be Dwayne Johnson. Who's the center of the Rockverse? It's The Rock, obviously. And again, as I said, the action sequences look pretty good. So I think that's a good idea. But wait, it gets better. Not only would Black Adam fight the Justice League, but because he's brought Amanda Waller in here, the Suicide Squad would come in as well. So you would have Suicide Squad kills the Justice League with Black Adam in the middle of it, heading up the whole thing. And I got to tell you, that's a pretty darn good movie. I would absolutely love that. That is on par with what Marvel's doing with Secret Wars and stuff like that. So to bring basically all the DC movies together, or Civil War, you're right, to bring all the DC movies together into one film where they all have to take on Black Adam. Black Adam's such a big threat that that's what it takes. It takes the Suicide Squad and the Justice League to take him down. That's an incredible film. It sounds like it's going to have a lot of action. And I think that I would want to see that movie. So I think it's a good idea. I mean, I'll ask you, who would want to see that movie? But I think pretty much everybody would want to see it. And then, of course, Black Adam would eventually become like an anti-hero. You'd be like, well, all right, guys, I guess I'll be with you. Jennifer's like, here's my money. I mean, I think that it is, Elias says, it sounds like a mess to me. It is a mess, but it's a beautiful mess. And I think that I would just want a big action fest with all these characters fighting each other. And I just think it's very wrestling. It's very Dwayne Johnson. And I got to tell you, it sounds like a really good movie to me. And also because it sounds like, Universal did with Jurassic World Dominion. Hey, Stanlos. I mean, it just sounds like all these matchups, like as you said, Graham says it is very wrestling. Toon Dude, I don't know if he can bring back Cyborg. That's an interesting question, if he can bring back Ray Fisher. I gotta tell you, I think Dwayne Johnson would try and do it. Dwayne Johnson, I think, just gonna be like, let's just all get along. Because, Walter Hamada's leaving. Ironically, when Black Adam comes out. So I think that it would work, and I think that you would have all these different matchups of different characters fighting each other, and then you'd have a big fight at the end, and I think it would be incredible. And I think that, if I were Universal, I'd be like, I could make this movie tomorrow. That's the thing. I think it's such a good idea that if I were Warner Brothers right now, Warner Brothers Discovery, I'd kind of be tempted to just say, okay. I'd be like, okay, I'll greenlight it now, even if I knew I'd never see it to completion, because Dwayne Johnson would oversee it. So Dwayne Johnson doesn't have to worry about it. Someone said, why is Dwayne Johnson giving me Kevin Feige vibes all of a sudden? Wouldn't that be funny if Dwayne Johnson ended up being DC's Kevin Feige? I think he actually maybe could do it, because while he's not a big, I do think he likes comics, but I don't think he's like a comic book guy, but I think he does understand fans. And so I think that he understands what fans want. And so I think that he's not exactly Kevin Feige, but I think he's like as close as you might be able to get, especially like right now. There might be some teenager or a child somewhere who will someday be turned into Kevin Feige, but you need an adult with business connections right now. So I think that maybe that could be Dwayne Johnson, which would be fascinating to me, because I think his idea is pretty good. So I would greenlight this. I know it puts us right back in here, but by even bringing back these characters, the Snyderverse is, it's just like never going to go away. The only way this is going to end is if Black Adam tanks. Then this is all going to be over. But I think this is pretty good. And I think that Black Adam seems like a pretty solid movie. So all it has to do is do okay. And then we could get this. And I think it's not a bad idea. And it would be like Dwayne Johnson, he would make so much money. He would be in charge of DC films, or his team would be. And, he has a lot of things that he's working on. But, I think, he also might run for president. And I laugh because I think I could see him winning. But I just think it's a good idea. And I think that, Dwayne Johnson, if he does want to get into politics, this would be a way for him to step back and he wouldn't be on screen all the time. And I do love that he did the poster just like the comic book cover. He knew to do that. That's really crucial. That's a great poster. That's my favorite Black Adam poster right there that I put there. I think it's a good idea. So William says, how could this work, Grace? He's not that powerful. I think Dwayne Johnson is that powerful, especially when there's no other powerful leadership in play over at Warner Brothers. Hey, Carl. I think he comes in there and he says, hey, I got an idea, and it's a good idea. So that's what he's pitching, and it's a great pitch. So, all right, so that's what's going on. So it seems that Henry Cavill does have a short cameo at the end of Black Adam, setting up a potential sequel. Hopefully the movie will do well. This is also very good for Henry Cavill because it puts Henry Cavill in a good negotiating position for everything else. It makes him look more like a winner instead of that he got fired. It makes Danny Garcia look amazing. So everybody looks great there. So you got Amanda Waller in this movie a little bit. So basically this is just like Thor, Love and Thunder, where it's setting up a much better movie in the future, although not to say this movie won't be a good ride as is. And then when you have Wonder Woman and Shazam 2, and you have Batman and Aquaman 2, Batfleck, and then, so you have a potential situation where the next movie would be Black Adam fighting not just the Justice League but the Suicide Squad, and you would just have all the DC characters come together in a situation, a little bit like Marvel's Civil War or Marvel's Secret Wars. It would probably come out a little bit around the time that Secret Wars does. Oh, what a year. What a glorious year for us. And I think it's a great idea. And I would say, The Rock would be a legend. He's a legend just for getting Henry Cavill back into the DCEU. But for him to be able to do that, I mean, it would be incredible. Newswriter, he would never be booed again. Newswriter 22 says, would the Justice Society be back? I don't think. Maybe a little bit. Maybe you'd have 3 teams. But I don't know how that would work. Matthew says, but what about Pattinson? That's a great question. Suddenly, again, Dwayne Johnson promised the hierarchy of power would change, and suddenly this becomes a lot stronger. Thanks, Heather. So I think that Pattinson would continue, but I think it would take a lot of the wind out of its sails, because this is a great idea. I mean, I think it's a great idea, but the question is, how, I happen to know that the Snyder Cut only did okay on HBO Max. So I don't know if everyone's going to show up for a few seconds of Henry Cavill. I mean, some of you like to say Twitter is not the world, Grace, and so it's like, oh, okay, that's true. So is it the box office? Alex says, does this change your mind about a reboot? I think that it kind of does, because I think it's such a great idea. I would like to see. I always thought myself that if they were going to reboot DC, it would be best as a palate cleanser to have just a fight movie that was just almost like a video game, just everybody would fight, and this is basically that. So that's what I would do. Whelm says, I don't know how you managed to do it, but you have somehow given me faith in The Rock. I'm seeing Black Adam opening night. It's my pleasure. Aaliyah, I'm looking for your chat. Oh, yeah, it's the only thing that would stop Dwayne Johnson from taking over DC is he couldn't work with other studios. He could, Aaliyah. He could work. Dwayne Johnson's not going to become the head of DC Films like Kevin Feige. It's not going to be in that capacity. He will take it over like Jon Favreau has taken a big hand in Star Wars. That's the better correlation. That's a good question. This isn't like Dwayne Johnson becomes Kevin Feige officially. He more becomes Jon Favreau in Star Wars. And he'd have to hire a Dave Filoni. iReady says, I don't care about movies where the lead talent makes everything about them. That's true. This would be the Dwayne Johnson show. But I think he looks good as Black Adam. So that's interesting. Rhett says, if they bring back the JSA and the DCEU, they need to bring back characters like Hourman, Wildcat, Stargirl, and Dr. Midnight. Maybe, yeah. Frosty Soul says, do you think Leslie Grace would be back as Batgirl if this works out? It would be up to Dwayne Johnson to do that. And I could see Dwayne Johnson doing that. I think that the amount of capital that he has will depend on just how well Black Adam does. Hey, Collector N. So you got to see that movie if you want it. If you want Dwayne Johnson to get a blank check, you got to give him box office numbers to back him up. Michael Barton says, "Will Warner Brothers and New Line go away permanently?" It depends on what Universal, if the deal goes through, what Universal decides to do. But I don't see why Universal would need Warner Brothers. They don't need the Warner Brothers name. They're like, let's stick the Universal logo in front of that. Hey, Bo, I'm glad you made it. Heather says, is the Cavill cameo definite? My sources say they're 90% sure, Heather. So that's pretty sure. Owlwatch says, not DC related, but that ending of Succession. They mentioned churning. That's right, churning. All right, so you can ask me anything that you'd like about this. Raphael said, did negotiating with Marvel make Henry Cavill more attractive to DC? No, what I've heard about Henry Cavill is that he just, always is looking out for Henry Cavill. So I don't think that's necessarily true. I think Henry Cavill is eager to keep his career moving forward, so he'll take any opportunity possible. And the Marvel stuff didn't materialize, so yeah, he'll keep the DC door open. If Marvel offered him a role, I think Henry Cavill would go over there immediately. But I don't know if they'd still be interested in him if he's still going to be Superman. So, there are other actors they could use. Paul says, I still think Henry Cavill would be a great James Bond. But can he be Bond and Superman? I think Henry Cavill should Speaking of short game versus long game, Henry Cavill should keep all this in mind as well. But, it's not guaranteed. I think he should take what's right in front of him also, to be honest, because he's had such a hard time of it. Paul says, I think word about Cavill being in the film after opening weekend will really boost its second weekend. I think everyone's going to know before the movie opens. I heard that we'll know for sure at the beginning of October. So it should help opening weekend if it's going to help it at all. Remember, it's a very small scene. Elmer says, hi, Grace, I think you would like Pearl. I don't know, Elmest. I really don't like horror stories. Jorge says, will this plan throw away the 10-year plan? They don't want to do a 10-year plan. That was just, posturing. They're not going to own, Discovery's not going to even own it for 10 years. They're going to only own it for like 2.5 or 3 years. So there's no 10-year plan. Super Extrovert says, how does Gal Gadot feel about this change and what this hurt? I don't know how Gal Gadot feels about it. I can't speak for Gal Gadot. Would this hurt Wonder Woman 3? I don't know if Wonder Woman 3 would ever be made. I think it's much more likely you would see Gal Gadot in this type of movie. And I'm sure that's fine with her. I think anything to keep her as Wonder Woman. And then eventually, maybe after that, they could do a Wonder Woman 3. Although I doubt it would be with Patty Jenkins. I heard the Amazon show was dead. Although who knows at Warner Brothers Discovery anymore? Things that are supposed to be dead. I mean, just like about 6-7 months ago, the DC, Snyderverse was dead. And yet here it is again. So, you never say never, but I heard that the Amazon show is certainly not doing well right now. No one's talking about it. Devin Henderson said, would they consider bringing in some of the popular CW DC characters? I think that's a step too far, Devin. I think that, they have enough characters as is. Keith says, what Suicide Squad members would you like to show up in the potential movie? Well, obviously Harley Quinn. James Gunn is still, I hear, very much in the mix over there at DC. Very much in the mix. And I wonder, if, he does okay with PG-13, although I don't know how people are going to feel. I got a lot of tea on Guardians of the Galaxy 3 the other day. But, would I have James Gunn direct this movie? I thought he had some pretty good directing choices in Suicide Squad 2. The Suicide Squad. To be honest with you, that helmet shot was incredible. So if you could just be sure there weren't going to be any taste issues, maybe I would consider. Look at how things change. A Snyderverse basically movie directed by James Gunn, and I'm like, I'd see it. Let's see here. Michael says, can Dylan O'Brien be Ezra Miller's Flash successor? I'm not sure. I think they would go with somebody a little different. Sky Magnus says, what happens in 2024 and 2025 with Warner Brothers? A full reboot with Matt Reeves or a soft continuation? Also, who should direct a JSA or JLA film? Denis Villeneuve, Catherine Bigelow, Chad Stahelski. Oh, Chad Stahelski would be ideal. James Mangold? No, it should be Chad Stahelski. If it's not James Gunn, and actually it should be Chad Stahelski over James Gunn. But I think either one would be fine. But Chad Stahelski, I don't know about James Gunn, actually, because, Suicide Squad actually didn't do particularly well, but, that could also be because of the pandemic. Chad Stahelski, to me, is a better choice. He's a very good fight director. I think he's a little bit of a safer bet. Maybe I'd go with him. But I do know that James Gunn's been doing a lot more DC stuff, from what I heard. So at least certainly more shows. Shawshank says, hi, Grace, did you not cover Constantine extensively? I mentioned it in my Warner Brothers Universal video. Because, it's another short-term play. Whelm says, do you think Universal will slowly start to involve itself in DC movies in any way as they prepare to purchase Warner Brothers? Does that typically happen? I think that would be illegal. I mean, I guess maybe behind the scenes they could, but, I gotta say, maybe if I were Deborah Snyder, that's Donna Langley. Isn't that who runs Warner Brothers? Yeah, I think it's Donna Langley. Maybe I would call up Zaslav and be like, you could greenlight that. If Black Adam did well at the box office, I'd be like, you can greenlight Black Adam 2, Justice League 2. You could greenlight that. That's fine. Bo Abdullah says, hi, Grace, do you think if Black Adam is a success, would that stop DC from resetting the DCEU? Yes, I do. Norwegian Kryptonian says, what's going on with J.J. Abrams' future at DC? I think J.J. Abrams, I don't know how long he is for Warner Brothers, to be honest with you. I think they're very happy. They paid him like $500 million. I don't think they're happy with how that worked out. Devin, I just answered the thing about Universal. Michael Parton says, is Salem's Lot the next movie to get the axe at WB? I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything about that. I'm sorry. Ramses Garcia says, considering Warner Brothers and Universal and shaky DC, does this mean the current airing shows are safe since there's no plan? Anything that's making money, I think, is safe. Anything that has a large audience is safe. Because, they're trying to slim down, make the thing leaner, Warner Brothers leaner and meaner so that someone can purchase it. And I think they want to make it not look like the thing's a total mess. Let's see here. Peter says, hey, Grace, would you prefer House of the Dragon Season 2 to be an anthology going back in time for the story to continue the current story? Well, we got to see all the dragons fight, so you got to do that for Season 2 at least. Dancing Dog 60 says, so Zatanna may see screen time soon? No, because that movie is not really, they don't even have a director on that. So I don't see that moving forward. Now, Pastor Madeline says, is Universal the only studio considering Warner Brothers? It's pretty much a done deal, and there's only so many people who could buy Warner Brothers. So I don't know if anybody wants to get into a bidding war with them, quite frankly. I mean, maybe someone could swoop in, but I don't think it's just so clearly something that Universal NBC should purchase. It's really like the Disney Fox deal. We heard about that in advance. It moved very slowly, but it did happen. And I think, again, there's always a chance it could fall through, but I think it's that kind of a situation. The Delicate Genius, I like your picture. I feel like I'm really seeing you. Says, will Marvel make She-Hulk a mutant with Jen having special blood? I don't think so. Although I never would have guessed they would have made Kamala Khan a mutant. But I don't think so. I think she just probably has a special property to her Hulk blood. Lewis says, how do you feel about the 3 Wicked leads? Lewis, I feel that they didn't make a great choice, to be honest with you. I think Cynthia Erivo is still surrounded by scandal that isn't going to go away. And I don't know how much Ariana Grande how good of an actress she is. So let's see. But and also I have my biggest problem is I don't have any faith in John Chu. So Toon Dude 19 says, is the Static Shock movie DOA? Probably, yeah. I don't think they want to make any. I think they're going to focus on the movies that they have, spread them out, and then try and sell this thing, as in Warner Brothers. And they're making Joker 2, because that's a very inexpensive movie they can make very quickly. But that's basically what they're doing. M. Wade says, video games cutscene watch-along. Like which video game? I don't know. J. King says, where do you think Andor will debut in the top 10? I think 6 or 7, because it debuted with 3 episodes. She-Hulk popped in at the very bottom this week, although we'll talk about that on Movie Math in depth. But I think Andor will, 3 episodes, a 90-minute debut is pretty big. It's like a movie, basically. So I think it'll be pretty good. Funtroon, I'm glad you caught a stream, too. Let's see here. Dancing Dog 60 says, would Google ever get into purchasing a studio? Never say never. Maybe. I think that's possible. Graham Post says, have you listened to Batman Audio Adventures? What are your thoughts on it? John Leguizamo is now my favorite Riddler. I used to listen to it as a story tape, so I never got past, who's the guy who did the voice of Jack Ryder? It was Seth, late nights, I forget his last name, but I never really heard past his pierogi spiel, and it was always so cozy, I just fell asleep. But it's very well done. Al Watch says, what Warner Brothers ride would you want to see? A ride through Arkham? That sounds too scary to me. Although it would be a Universal haunted house for sure during Universal Halloween. I think Game of Thrones land would be fantastic. Or certainly a ride. That would be fantastic. Riding a dragon, Al Watch, there you go. An Avatar type ride, steal that technology or borrow it and do a Game of Thrones ride, you're done. Cooper, why can't you super chat? That doesn't make it, I don't know why that wouldn't be possible. Hey, Luke. Lukewarm. That's funny. IJO says, do you think Dune's Sisterhood will be made? No, I do not. I think that's probably, hey, Derek Taylor, I think that's probably too expensive. Cooper, just ask me your question and I'll look for it. I think it's too expensive, and I think that they don't want to greenlight it. They just don't want to do it. I think they don't need to. They're just going to keep making Dune movies and then let the next person who buys Warner Brothers make that decision. Harlequin Dove said, so the thing is, there are these couple of cameos, but are they here to stay? Harlequin Dove, it is totally in the now in the fans' court. Warner Brothers has served you up what you want. Gal Gadot in Shazam 2, Batfleck in Aquaman 2, and now Henry Cavill and Black Adam. So if you want these, so they're like, okay, time to prove it. Go pay to see these movies. So that's what's going on. Ivan says, could you share the Guardians of the Galaxy tea? I don't want to ruin the movie. It's not nice to ruin the movie. Like, I was just talking to somebody the other day behind the scenes about how, like, today, Tony Stark's death would have been spoiled. And, you don't want that. I mean, that would have been so crummy. Just think about how crummy that would have been. Mark says, I love the Broadway production of Wicked, but I don't have faith for the movie, especially in 2 parts. I can see. Jaden, I'm not sure what's happening with Keaton. He's going to be in The Flash. That's all we know for sure right now. Guy from Kings Highway says, my girlfriend and I watched Don't Worry Darling last night and it was much better than the Rotten Tomatoes score. 30% is way too low. Totally agree with that. And I think it's actually probably going to do pretty well this weekend. What the Pop says, so has Cavill definitely got nothing at Marvel, or is that still up in the air? He's taken a meeting or talked to Marvel about a specific character, or for at least one for sure that I heard of, but he has not signed any deals with them. Cooper, I didn't see your question. Cooper, you didn't ask your question. Yeah, Brian, this is the Ask Me Anything part. The one and only PMG. I'm glad you're in the live stream. Michael says, let's get serious. Candy corn, yes or no? Yes, I love candy corn. Keith says, does Mon Mothma show up in episode 4 of Andor? Yes, she does, but briefly. And she seems to be in succession. Derek says, what is the Flash in the next Black Adam movies? There'll be a Flash, but I don't think it's going to be Ezra Miller. I think Ezra Miller is dreaming if he thinks he's going to continue. I think he just wants to make sure this movie gets released so he gets the residuals for it. Alex says, any tea or update on Doctor Doom casting? All I know is that if you were a gambling person, you would probably want to bet that Doom would show up at the end of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. But I haven't heard anything about who would be in the role, for sure. Madeline, I do decorate for fall, and I will start at the beginning of October. I had some stuff come up, some personal stuff. I was going to do it in early September, but instead I have to wait till October. Ramses, they're working on those Fantastic Four castings, for sure. Toon Dude says, hey Grace, any DC comics that you are reading right now? I read a lot of DC. You can go, if you super follow me on Twitter, every week I put up my my stack, what I'm purchasing. 80s Model, I didn't watch Dahmer because it's just too disturbing for me. I felt very sad about that. But I'm glad that they're calling attention to what Dahmer was, what he got away with and why. It was just really tragic. Jay King, I'm very happy for House of the Dragon's success. I just filmed my breakdown for episode 6 on Sunday, so I'm pretty excited. It's a great episode. Oh, that's so sweet of you, Juan. I saw The Woman King, and it's so great. Also, for people criticizing it, if you want historical accuracy, never go to the movies. That's very true. Bo says, Grace, what do you think of She-Hulk overall? I love Tatiana Maslany. I love her in the role. And I think that no matter how much they might make her look like a loser on this show, she's still going to be great. And so I'm very excited for her future. But I certainly would not continue with this show. I mean, it's got 3 episodes left, but it seems to be getting worse and worse. So is it darkest before the storm? Let's see. Matthew, I'm glad you made a stream. The one and only PMJ. If you're just joining now, basically I said that the Snyderverse, if Black Adam does well, will become the Rockverse. And The Rock wants his follow-up movie to Black Adam to be Black Adam versus the Justice League, and then hopefully even versus the Suicide Squad, all in one movie. And basically, you know, it's Justice League versus the Suicide Squad with Black Adam in the middle. Ijo says, your feels on the time jump for House of the Dragon, I feel nervous. Oh, it's quite jarring. I filmed my response. I can't tell you in advance, but I did film my thoughts on that. Super Extrovert says, Dahmer isn't that scary because you don't see the big kills. Oh, I'm glad they didn't do that. I'm glad. I'm glad they were respectful to those victims. Rainey says, do you read a lot of Marvel? I keep trying to get back into X-Men, but I can't get it to stick. Same here. I would love to be reading X-Men. I've read X-Men for years, but I can't read any of the current titles. I think they're awful. I would actually say the current X-Men titles are awful. They're that bad. You know what else was awful? Speaking of Harley Quinn, Keith, the Harley Quinn 30th anniversary special. Unreadable. I skimmed so much of that, and I paid a lot of money for that comic. I'm still upset about it. Newswriter22 says, hey, Grace, would a 12-year commitment take Henry out of the Bond role? It might. Although I think he's around the same age that Daniel Craig was when he took on the role. I think it should be Henry Cavill, to be honest with you. But we'll see. Hey, Mario. Welcome back. Hey, Randolph G. I'm glad that I think Evan Peters is very talented. I saw a lot of people saying they hoped he had a good therapist after playing this role. Nuno, I haven't seen the Empire Wakanda Forever cover. I'll have to check that out. All right, I'll do like 2 more questions. Lena says, Grace, do you think Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman will stick around? I do. She's such a good Wonder Woman when she's done correctly. And I think it would be hard to get as good a Wonder Woman, quite frankly. So I think she'll stick around. I don't think she'll have her own movie for a little bit, but that's okay. Blue says, I still prefer the Snyderverse actors. If Rock can get them back together, more power to him. Yeah, he'll be a legend. Lewis says, what are your favorite Florence Pugh performances? Oh, I love her in everything. I thought she was brilliant in Little Women. I loved her in Black Widow. I think she's a very talented actress. And she's so good in Don't Worry, Darling. She becomes a movie star in this movie, in my opinion. Derek Taylor says, do you think that Shazam and the family will be in the Black Adam movies with the rest? Not the whole family. I think Shazam might, because it's, Dwayne Johnson. 1 second, Cooper. But I think that it depends on whether or not Black Adam, depends on whether or not Shazam 2 does well. Cooper, I'm looking for it. I'm looking for your question. Hold on. I gotta find it. Where is it, Cooper? Hold on. I'm scrolling. Cooper, I don't see it, Cooper. You gotta type it more than once. Instead of typing, did you see my question? You should just keep typing in your question. Oh, wait, I think I just almost saw it. Oh, no, Cooper, I didn't see it. Where is it? You got to retype it, Cooper. Toon Dude says, did you read Nightwing this week? I love Nightwing and Oracle together. I think it's pretty good. I like the art. What's keeping me reading Nightwing right now is the art. But I think that the story went on for too long. But I am curious to see what happens next. I did think it was funny that Oracle grabbed Nightwing's butt. I was like, always with the butt with Nightwing. 80s model, I think Harry Styles' career as an actor is over. I hope he had fun. Jaden says, any word on Shazam versus Black Adam? Maybe as a small fight in the other movie, but Dwayne Johnson wants to fight a bigger character. That's right, Heather. Florence Pugh wasn't fighting with my family. That's hilarious. Cooper, you got to ask the question again. You'll be my last question, Cooper. Juan Carlos says we need a Yelena and Katie movie. Kate Bishop. That would be funny. I would love that. I did read Batman versus Robin, Alex. I thought it was pretty good. Although I don't know how. Nobody right now really knows how to write Damien, which annoys me. Cooper, write your question in so I can move on to shout-outs. TJ Williams, I don't think Dwayne Johnson cares about that. The Black Adam is Shazam's arch nemesis. Malin, I don't see myself breaking down Percy Jackson. I might review it, but, I don't even know if I'm going to continue with Andor because there's so little interest in it. Cooper, well, you asked the question, Cooper. I feel like I'm Arnold, the Arnold. Ask the question, Cooper. Do it. Do it now. Oh, Cooper, I've not seen it at all. How could you have sent it hundreds of times? I haven't seen it at all, Cooper. Not once. Cooper, it might be getting blocked. That's what it is. Cooper, you must have a word in there that is that YouTube is filtering. That's what it is. You're right. Okay, we solved it, Cooper. Cooper, you got to think about what the word might be that's causing the problem. That's what's the problem. Sorry, Cooper. I have auto filter on, so it's filtering out one of your words. Juan says, have you read The Kingdom Keepers? It all happens at Disney World. No, I have not. Cooper, if you can't get the question in, you can DM it to me and I will answer you that way on Twitter. You can DM me on Twitter. My DMs are open. You can tweet it to me, and that way I'll definitely see it. I feel bad for poor Cooper. That's definitely what it is. Hey, Liam. All right, so since that's the issue, Cooper, DM me the question over on Twitter. All right, let me do some shout-outs. So just tell me what you're up to, what's going on, and I'll just give you a shout-out. Where are you? What are you up to? What are your plans for the weekend? I don't know, Mario. She's done some adult roles, so I don't know if that's possible. Hey, Ty, that's so sweet of you. You're at the bank? I love it, running those Friday errands. Pastor Madeline says, scraping paint off our deck. Oh, you're a trooper, Madeline. Peter says, eating a crepe in Sydney, Australia. I love it. Heidi, packing for a trip soon, nervous and excited. Oh, that's so exciting. Cooper, don't be embarrassed. Just DM it to me, and I promise you'll get my personal attention. Jaden says, getting ready to move to drama school in the UK. That is wonderful news. Congratulations. Varaki88, welcome. Welcome back. Brian M. is multitasking at work in Austin, Texas. Prince Connor says they're in Charleston studying for the MCAT. Break a leg. Michael McKenna says playing a concert with a new band. Oh, that's pretty cool. M. Wade 227 is in their room doing homework on a Friday. You're amazing. Good for you. You must have great grades. Joe says Friday night in Helsinki, Finland. I plan to get Pizza Hut. Awesome. Pizza Hut actually can really hit the spot sometimes. Rashad said, just got to work in lovely Las Vegas. Oh, that's fantastic. Ben says, traveling to see family for the weekend in Hungary. Oh, I hope you have a wonderful time. Mario Ruiz says, watching on my lunch break, my 21st birthday is next week. Oh, happy early birthday. I hope you have some stuff planned. TJ Williams is going to see Panic at the Disco at Madison Square Garden tonight. Oh, wow, what a treat. I love Panic at the Disco, and Madison Square Garden is such an incredible venue. You're going to have such a good time. Newswriter22 says, going to see Avatar tonight in 4K. So excited. Oh, have a great time. Stanlo says, baking chocolate cake and pondering the state of DC Comics. Are you following Dark Crisis? I'm not, Stanlos, because how many times could they reboot the DC thing? I'm so tired of seeing the Justice League die. I don't care about it anymore. I'm like, whatever. What the Pop says, long weekend here in Western Australia. Lots of friend time. Oh, that's nice. Adam says, in New York City for a wedding this weekend. Any recommendations we should check out? It's going to be chilly in New York this weekend, but, Central Park is always lovely. All the tourist spots are tourist spots for a reason. Rockefeller Center, go down and look around the Village. Statue of Liberty is incredible. There's a lot of good places to look around. Brandon Park says, Friday night here in South Africa, we have Comic-Con Africa tomorrow. Super excited. That sounds wonderful. I hope you have a great time. 80s Model says, I'm having some guilt-free Kentucky Fried Chicken. Good for you. Dancing Dog 60 says, going to buy crispy Asian pork after work. Tasty. David Quevedo says, preparing data for a meeting while listening to the live stream, ready to sleep in tomorrow. That's right, Saturday. Collector says, I'm chilling in the dorm room writing poetry. I'm going to rewatch the Spawn animated series this weekend. Oh, that's awesome. Navy says, I'm in Montreal, lunch break, eating me some shawarma. Ah, very Avengers-y of you. Liam says, just got home from the cinema and saw Avatar, and the end credit clip was amazing. Yeah, they showed part of the new movie, right? Oh, that's so good. I'm glad it looks great. Tech Noir Video says Jurassic World Dominion, finally a $1 billion movie. Isn't that incredible? We shall talk about that on Movie Math. Lewis says, watching in bed after a Doctor Who escape room. Oh, that's awesome. Escape rooms are a lot of fun. Ivan says, here in Mexico, eating pan de muerto and preparing for a pool party. Oh, don't swim for 2 hours after eating. Let's see here. Jennifer S. says, ordering a parfait at a restaurant in Abuja, Nigeria. The line is insane. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad to keep you company, Jennifer. I love that I'm always keeping you company when you're out and about. Michael Nardelli, hey, welcome back. Juan says, greetings from Argentina. I can't wait for House of the Dragon on Sunday. Are you Team Rhaenyra or Team Alicent? I'm Team Drama, so I'm having a great time. Hey, Powell in Poland, greetings. The Chris channel is eating Swedish fish. I agree, those are delicious. Jennifer Escalona is picking up sushi for lunch. And Super Extrovert is about to have coffee before gaming with the boys on Discord in Seattle, all before a live DJ concert tonight. Wow, you really are extroverted. You're having a great day. All right, everybody. As usual, I had a fabulous time with you. Thank you so much for joining me for a special live stream on Friday. Live streams should be back to normal next week. It was very quiet this week. That's because of the Jewish holidays make business in general, but Hollywood included, very quiet. So I think that's one of the reasons not a lot of stuff happened this week. But next week, things should be back, streams hopefully Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. All right, everybody. Bye. Have a great weekend. See you on Sunday for Movie Math and House of the Dragon. Okay. Bye. Bye-bye.